From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance of West resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricator real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanus Nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage to reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan out as crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double. The inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, man, this is a You Are Under the Groove. Welcome to Under the Groove podcast. Let's get it in. Let's touch bases with the people and focus on the focus as we do so, man. Peace and prosperity, everyone. May your day have been everything you set out for it to be. I have no complaints. For sure, for sure. I have no complaints. Here I am. I'm grateful, with family. We're doing all right. We take the good with the bad, man. You know what I mean? The bad with the good, that balance. We exercise that balance in our lives and in our family. I was talking to my nephew and my grandson today. I took him to the studio today. And, we chilled out, we chilled, got some work done that I needed to do. And, messed around with them, recorded them for a little while, asked them a bunch of, kid questions type of thing. And, I had a good time. Let me put it to you like that. I had a good time, man. Also, I was able to understand, I was able to see that a lot of, oh shit, 1 second, everybody. Glad I caught that. All right. A lot of, excuse me, y'all. We take a lot for granted, especially when it comes to our children, we tend to think everything is okay when it comes to our children. We tend to think that they're, from home to school to outside plant, whatever it is, we tend to think in a lot of respects that they're all right. They're developing well, things of that nature. I don't know, man. I kind of beg to differ. I think that our children, man, they're not being raised properly. In other words, man, a lot of our children are being raised by these phones, these cell phones, and social media. I was able to just, check out a few things today with the young ones in my family, and I was like, okay, okay, there's work to be done for real, for real. Most of these kids, they have a different type of intelligence, you know what I mean? And that's kind of crazy. Intelligence that they should have, a lot of them don't have, but when it comes to these cell phones, they're very functional individuals, you know what I mean? You take the cell phone from them, you extract it from their hands, get it out in front of their faces, whole different story, And so I think that there's a lot we're missing when it comes to our children. There's a lot going on in terms of our children, not just their well-being, but their development, their development. Now, again, a lot of them know how a cell phone functions in terms of pulling up something on social media, things of that nature. It doesn't go past that, though. If they're going to be involved, or these cell phones are taking such a great part of their day from them, then it should be done in such a way where it's a tool. It's a tool. It should become more than just entertainment. This is just an observation of mine. And that's not a knock on anyone, most especially or including my own family. It's just something I've noticed. It's something I paid a little attention to today, and I was able to see that, they know how to get these cell phones up and running. They know how to go pull up anything they want. But beyond that, there's a problem. There's not that development cascading over to something greater than just being an observer on social media. You know what I mean? There should be also a skill set applied to that, to where in the future, these individuals, our young children, will know not just how to manipulate, this device, but to build them, understand its mechanisms, see the value in what they can do or produce, or what they can add to it. You know what I mean? That's something I noticed today, and I'm telling you, I was kind of okay, yeah, for real. We have to actually start focusing on these kids, our future for our people. The future of our people is in jeopardy. There's no other way I can put that. I want to be straight out, in terms of what I convey or what comes out of my mouth to those I'm talking to. And again, let me clarify. Let me be very clear. This doesn't go towards all of our children, but there is a great number of our children who are lost in this social media thing, and for the wrong reasons. They're more educated about social media than they are, again, about those things they should have knowledge, understanding about. I think that's something that should be not viable, but that's something that should be very necessary in their young lives. They should know how to function beyond that cell phone, that device. And a lot of them don't. And you take the cell phone from them, from the majority of them who actually are on these cell phones, seriously, hours upon hours in a day. You extract that cell phone from their hands, they're like, it's like a switch goes off. They just, like, man, there's no, almost, I don't know, I don't want to sound dramatic, but just like they turned off. Don't know what to do, don't want to do nothing. Again, that's not all of our children, so I want to make that clear. But there are enough of them who are like that should worry us. That should worry us, all right? And that's just something I had on my, I want to bring that up. But again, it should be of no surprise, because most of the parents, that's what they do. Also, that's what they do, no matter where they are. It could be work, driving a car, in the store. Social media is their center of focus. For real, it is. But again, in all the wrong aspects. And this is starting to cascade over, spread over to, our future, the youth. That's not a good look. Our future is in jeopardy. And, you know, the more I think about a lot of stuff, man, the more I start to see the big picture, this plot, man, you know, this design that's in place to numb us down, not necessarily dumb us down, but numb us down. You know, I see it. I see the effects of it. It's real too. It's real. So, you know, I just want to throw that out there, man. I actually did have a great time with my nephew and my grandson. We did some recordings. You know, I did something I thought about doing Under the Groove Kids Edition. You know, and they were like, it was a test pilot. They were the pilot. You know, they did all right. You know what I mean? But we have to really start thinking about, you know, our future. You know, the future of our people, and that is in the hands of our children. You know, and we don't hear them get together, man. I'm telling you, our future as a people it's going to end up being non-existent. They got our children, man, in everything except for what they should be in. You know what I mean? They're involved in things that really has no bearing or real purpose in terms of these young ones coming up, not just as individuals, but as a collective, as a people. You know? There's a lot going on that they don't even understand, man. You know, and that should be alarming to all of us. To all of us. All right. That being said, peace and blessings. Peace and prosperity to everyone out there. Happy Tuesday. May your day has been everything you set out for it to be. All right. There was a grand rising. It occurred. Here you are. You know, there you are. You're in the life living, you know, so let's make the best of it. You know, let's find the time. You know, they time us now. You know, we've been doing this 24 hours in a day. That's time enough to, you know, grow, to develop. And a lot of us tend to think that, you know, when we get to a certain age, the development process has stopped. It ended. You know what I mean? Nah, man, that process goes on until they lay us in the ground, right? So let's take advantage of this. You know, let's find a way to grow our possibilities, you know, work on our potential, build our skills, you know, and allow those gifts that we have to flourish. That's what the Grand Rising should be about. That's how it should be represented, should be appreciated in such a way. All right. That being said, again, peace and prosperity, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Let's make it happen. We got some time left in the day. All right. All right. Hey, James, I see you, my loved one. Peace and prosperity, brother. Good to see you up and about doing what you do. Yeah, man. You say you as well, my brother. We were talking before the show started, you know, changed real quick. A couple of texts. He says, you as well, my brother. I appreciate you. That's automatic. One people under the groove. One. Yeah, man, that's what it is, man. You know, love and respect, man. The people trying to find a way to work together, come together, be together, you know, live together. You know, that fire, man. We got to find a way to ignite that fire. You know, turn that furnace up, man. You know, make that fire actually just blaze. It needs to be a blaze. You know, got the burner down, y'all. Anyway, appreciate you, James. Say happy Tuesday to you and your queen and the RGC. Right back to you, bro. Right back to you. Lisa Morehouse's sister. Say, hey, big brother, blessings to you and family. Peace and love to the kings and queens in the chat. B1, we all know. And for those who may be watching, don't know what B1 is, it means black first. And we want to say that unapologetically. Respectfully, of course, but unapologetically, black first. This should be our focus, you know, not just on ourselves, because, yeah, we need to have that on ourselves so that we can continue to develop and get it right. A lot of us have to work with ourselves first. We have to work individually to get it right first before we call ourselves, you know, going out and spreading, you know, something that we don't even, you know, manifest or have for ourselves. You know what I mean? So, yeah, black first. Black first. And the only way to get there, man, is when we get our individual and then our collective ish together, you know. So B1 equals black first. And again, power is in the people, peace and prosperity. Everybody, good to see you back, Lisa. And again, may your day be in everything you set out for today and your family as well and flourishing, even under these circumstances. I don't know about y'all, but I know, man, that gas, and I drive a truck. I'm like, hey, man, nah. I had a couple of undercovers and, you know, let family use them, and you know how that story ends or how that story goes, but you know, it's all good. But yeah, that truck, nah. I'm finna park that thing, man, and start riding this motorcycle a little more, you know, because this shit is outrageous, man. This stuff is crazy, man. It's crazy, you know, and it's just gonna get worse. It's just gonna get worse. At least that is the that's the consensus, you know. That's the consensus. But again, such a good to see you up in here. Black love all the time. James said, man, I was super excited as a kid when I get one of them little Nintendo Game Boys in the 90s, and then PlayStation 2 was the pinnacle of my childhood besides shooting hoops on the court. And that's something that I recognize that too, though. Again, for us, when we were growing up, the technology that was out was that little pocket football game thing, you know, just some little dashes, and you know, you had the front line, defense, offense, and a little dash. You know, I forgot the name of them, little white console games, and you know, play football like that. You know, then they had the consoles come out like 79 to 80, and it was prone. It was slow as hell, you know, but you plugged it up to your TV. Then Tron came out, you know. But for us, yeah, man, it was always, you know, we very rarely were in the house unless we're on a punishment. Me, I can say for sure, I've been on a lot of punishments. For like a month at a time, I was on a punishment. I'll never forget that, man. For a whole month, I was not allowed to go outside, go to school, and come right back. You know, crazy part about that, what made it stick was the school was right next door to where we lived. We lived on 95th, right off of Vermont, went to 95th Street School. We lived in an apartment back then, apartment number 3. As soon as I come out, there's the gate. You know, the driveway to the apartment led to the back to carport, but there's the gate. We always hop the gate, you know, boom, go to school. So soon as school was out, I had no excuse, you know, in terms of why it took me so long to get home, you know. So for a whole month, I was grounded, man. And that was one of the worst times. I remember that, man. I remember that. My friends used to come to the back of the window, my bedroom window, and I could only lean out the window and talk. Wasn't supposed to do that, so I'd be trying to listen for moms while we whispering and talking. Shoot, man. But back then, it was always about being outside. You know what I mean? And as a result, we learned a lot, some of which we could do without. You know what I mean? But most of it was informative and educational in a lot of respects. You know, we grew up knowing insects, you know, from A to Z, you know, birds, animals, all this stuff. You know, I was with with my nephew, went to see my brother in LA a couple of days ago. This was Saturday. This is when I went and picked him up. Well, this one, you know, I went and gathered him up. But I'm chopping it up with bro, and a butterfly lands, right? And my nephew like, oh, Stu, what the hell is that? Like, man, what you mean, what is that? It's a damn butterfly. I said, catch it, because, you know, it looked like it couldn't fly. Something was going on with it. I said, grab it, let me see. You know, hand it here. What do you mean, grab it? I'm like, dude, you serious? So I said, grab the butterfly, man. And I swear to you, he's never grabbed a butterfly. He's never picked up or caught a butterfly in his life. The guy's 10. 10. So I looked at my brother. My brother looked at me. He was like, This ain't cool. You know, oh man, but we were outside, man, and we knew how to do things. We built go-karts with crates. Find some old carpet, put that on there for the seat. We knew how to get shopping carts, supermarket baskets, take the wheels off. You know, we knew all that stuff, man. These kids today can't do that. You know, at least not ours. I haven't seen it. And I don't mean my family specifically, but I mean just some, you know, in general, our people, our youth. You know, we built mini bikes. We built go-karts with motors. You know what I mean? We did all that stuff. Put together a whole bike, find a frame with nothing on it. Man, next thing you know, it was a whole bike. You know, these are the things we did. We messed with animals. We understood animals and dogs and cats, all that. A lot of the youth today, man, don't get that, or they don't involve themselves in that. And especially if, let's say, the household don't have a pet, you know, or they're living in, you know, these new apartment settings now, you know, there's no yard and shit like that. Then, yeah, they're going to be exempt from that learning process about nature and stuff like that. Again, we built anything, man. We could have built a home, you know, with plumbing and electricity, you know what I mean, if we chose to. You know, these kids don't have that. They don't have that understanding and those skills, you know, that wherewithal to figure out some stuff with their hands other than pushing a button, you know, on the cell phone. And that, I'm telling you, that's scary, that we should be alarmed about that. But yeah, back in our day, man, you know, there wasn't much in terms of technology. You know, again, you know, we didn't carry a phone in our pocket. You know, you either went to the phone booth or you went home. If your phone was on, you went to your grandparents to use the phone, or, you know, shit, hang with a buddy and let me use the phone, you know. Yeah, that was something that we couldn't have fathomed, except for when I was in 6th grade. We went to the LAX. This is when they opened the theme. It was a museum setting. That was the second time I actually went there. But anyway, back then, and this was like 1975, 76, they did an exposition in an expo where they were highlighting the future of technology. And they actually had stuff. This was like, again, the mid 70s, man, where they had a contraption and a lady was talking to it, and she was able to see who she was talking to, you know, and they gave this little commercial. She was cooking and talking while she was cooking, and in and out the bathroom, you know, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Even the cars, you know, and people were like, man, that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, it happened, you know. Even in that respect, man, you know, we had enough wherewithal, enough sense to say, okay, man, that's a possibility, you know. And I can say, for me, at least, it was something, you know, once I got a hold of, and I was first exposed to, I was like, oh, I can't wait for that, you know. Just like, you know, when the first computers came out, you know, the little football thing, oh man, shoot, mastered that day one, you know. You know, but yeah, man, things have changed to that extent, to where our youth are not well rounded when it comes to doing anything other than interacting with a cell phone on social media with a cell phone, you know, and that's kind of scary. Like I said, we should be alarmed. But now, for the most part, like our grandkids, you know, they go outside. You know what I mean? That's what we do. Go outside, you know. I remember, man, when they were big enough, I said, hey, man, climb that tree. And they looked at me like I was crazy. So my grandson, hit that wall, hit that fence, you know what I mean? And he literally walked up to it and hit it with his hand, with his palm of the hand, hit it. Oh, man, I fell out laughing. I'm like, what's this? No, man, he playing. He got to be playing. I said, man, hit the fence, man. And he did it again. I was like, nah, man. Nah. Climb over the fence, man. Let me see if you know how to hit a fence. You know, that was terminology back then. So I might have been off by talking, you know, in a language that was antiquated as far as he's concerned, you know what I mean? But when he understood, still wasn't athletic enough to hit that damn fence. Like, oh, hell no. You know? You know, one thing led to another. I mean, get on top of my roof. Get on. We got a veranda out here. You know, so I'm like, man, get up there, man. Climb up there. And he's like, how? I'm like, damn, man. You couldn't have told us that back in the day at 10 years old. You know, get on top of the patio. You know, come on, man. What? Man, we'd have got on top of that patio. You know what I mean? Get on that roof. You know, climb that roof. Get on top of that roof. We'd have done all that. Apartment roofs, it didn't matter, you know. Climb that tree, man. What? How far you want me to go? All the way to the top? You know. Nowadays it's different, you know. There's just a lot of different going ons with our people, especially the youth. And I'm telling y'all, man, you know, just, you know, be serious about it. We should be alarmed. They're not prepared as they should be. And again, let me make sure I'm perfectly clear about that. It's not a blanket statement about all our youth, you know, but it does regard or concern most of them in the cities, these inner cities, you know. So I just want to throw that out there, man. Appreciate that, James. You said, but never in my wildest dreams when I was 8 years old did I think or even care to have something like a fully functional supercomputer of a phone. Yeah, that's just messed up to me. Should be 18 years old. And that's another great point. Babies now, after a year of being born, they own these phones. They're on these phones. And I don't understand why parents don't comprehend or cannot comprehend that. That's not probably, but man, that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. So that is the dereliction of a parent, because now you're trying to find something or something to babysit or take care of this baby, raise this baby other than yourself, you know. And so we see a lot of that, you know. I'm in agreement with you. There should have been some type of something in place to keep the phones out of their hands, man, until they reached a certain age, you know. And then even before you gave it to them, you walked them through you let them know not only that it's a tool, but the dangers of it as well, you know. These phones, a lot of these phones have gotten a lot of our children taken away from us. You know, parents don't know where their babies are as a result of these phones, you know. There are dangers attached to these phones, man. And it's sad that, you know, a lot of them don't know it, you know. There's a lot going on, y'all. And, you know, at some point, we may get to the point where we discuss a lot of things openly, as we should, you know. As we should, you know. I have a habit of asking anywhere from 9 years old on down, what's your address? You know what I mean? I could see, you know, kids playing with my family, my side of the family, you know, hey man, what's your address? You know, and you know, what street do you live on? You know, what city are you in? You know, shit like that. And again, it's shocking to, you know that a lot of them don't pay attention to that type of stuff, you know, and that's kind of sad. And again, alarming. Yeah, appreciate that, James, man. Them phones, man, condition them in the worst ways, especially for the future. So true. And yeah, adults are just as bad. And this is the reason why they're like that. This is learned behavior. You know, this is learned behavior. This is another aspect of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, adults are just as bad. You're going to say, Bub, like irresponsible parents giving any children cell phones. That is an irresponsible move, especially when they babies, man. You said, I see people every day like zombies glued to them devices, you know, some real sucker stuff, man. They wouldn't survive one day without them. That's the truth, man. Again, I've seen this literally 1-year-olds knowing full well how to make a phone do, you know, go, man, go, whatever, and go and find exactly what they want to look at. And, you know, babies back in the day used to have tantrums over taking a bottle from them, you know, a pacifier or something, you know what I mean? Nowadays, it's about taking the cell phone from them is when they go ballistic. You know, they just lose it. You know, babies, a cell phone. Come on, man. Yeah, I got to see it with your little binky, your little blinky, your little stuffed animal. You know, but take the bottle from them just to mess with them. Cause you know, boy, give me that bottle. You do over there. They go crazy. It's the cell phone now. They don't even want a bottle. Or in most cases, you know, one brings comfort to the other. You know what I mean? I've seen them where they had the little pacifier in their mouth with the cell phone chilling, you know, and the pacifier, almost the way they got it in the crook of their mouth, man, is like a toothpick or something, you know, just on that cell phone going, you know, just holding it going, man, and just flicking through it. I'm like, all right, something's wrong for real. But yeah, man, there should have been certain protocols put in place, man, certain rules and stuff for these babies. Because, hey, man, not a good look. Queen Nzinga, wishing you a terrific Tuesday. Laugh with your eyes, smile with your soul, hug with your heart, and love with your soul. All right? Be one, Black First. Again, wishing you a terrific Tuesday. Laugh with your eyes, smile with your soul, hug with your heart, and love with your soul. All right? Appreciate that now. There you go. What it do, Raymond? Raymond Skull, man, is loved one, man. He up in here tonight. He said peace and prosperity to the brothers and sisters in the Royal Group congregation. Salute to you, bub. I hope all is well with you and your family. May peace be with the Groove community. And I want to get that right back, man. Reciprocate that. You know what I mean? Boom. In the truest sense, man. Peace and blessings, peace and prosperity, you and yours. And hopefully the Rays are doing everything they know they're supposed to do as a unit, keeping that thing tight, man, and evolving, growing, you know, building, you know, preparing for the future, man. So my love and respect is sent out that way, man, not just to you, but to the Rays, man, just period, point blank, man. And also to you, James, and the CPT, you know, hey, just love and prosperity, y'all. You know, it's time to build, it's time to get it together, because these are the times where if we don't got together, we will continue to suffer, or the suffering will get worse. And again, I've said this many times, just based on what's happening in the world, this is an opportunity for us to take advantage of these distractions. Let them be distracted while we focus on the focus. You know, we find a way to get it together, come together, and make some things happen for us. For us, because again, we are under their thumb, their rule, the heel of their shoe or boot. We ain't got nothing. We can take advantage of it. These people are wicked and rotten, man. They're so corrupt. They are so corrupt, man. And I just think this is the best time. In fact, probably one of the only times we'll have an opportunity to get ours together while they're doing all this, you know, this silly shit they're doing. We should take advantage of it. We would do better for it if we did, you know. So good to see you up in here, Roscoe. One love, bro. B60, I see you now. Greetings and salutations to you, Bub, and the RGCB1 right back to you, man. Greetings and prosperity to you and your fam. Let it do what it do, man. Good to have you here amongst us today, all right? Hey, peace and prosperity, bro. One love. James saying, but I need to get back on them two wheels and cruise out there. Yeah, man, I'm about to get on this bike, man, because this gas, oh, man, shit. Oh, man, don't give me, and it's going to go higher. You know, I'm sitting up wondering, I'm sitting up worried about everybody else that, you know, recognize and understand that shit going to hit me too. Man, $7 gas. I know a lot of people say, oh man, no, I can't see $7. Yeah. Get your mind right. Get ready. Get ready. And Trump is trying to do everything he can to keep the prices down after he started this mess. Keep stock market up and, you know, all this stuff, but it's not working. Everything he's saying is lies. So he'll say something like yesterday, oh yeah, we talked to them and we're in negotiations and, we're getting it together. We having negotiations, discussions, or they sent me gifts, da, 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 da. And the stock market would kind of react to that, oil prices would kind of react to that momentarily till they realize, or till it's realized that that fool was lying. I mean, he was lying, in his own way, trying to save. I don't know who the hell he was trying to save or who pockets he was trying to help, but to keep shit somewhat stable. But dude, what were you gonna do, or what are you gonna do after it's realized that you're lying? You really didn't help nothing. You didn't save nothing. You know what I mean? This is some crazy stuff, man. This is some crazy stuff, man. These fools are manipulating the market. They're saying shit and they're selling off shit real quick. They're getting richer while we get poor. While we spend more, they make more, But yeah, this gas thing, man, is gonna. Well, I really don't, man. This put in the atmosphere don't get as bad as they say it will or it can. All right, but this shit is killer, man. I hate it. I hate it. James said, Bub, I'm going to get back into mountain biking again. I got me a cool little bike. I just got to add brakes to it. It got the old school chrome handlebars. I do go for strolls often, about 10 miles a day. Damn, boy, you be getting it in. Me and the wife were talking about that. Well, I look at bikes as a necessity, like especially now, so what if, gas prices go above $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon? What if there's a shortage? How are you going to get around? So me and the wife, we always look at this type of stuff and we say, okay, we got to have A, B, and C in place, so bikes is something, what I mean? Either electric or just regular bikes, they would be wise to have them, or people should think in terms of that, stay ready, you ain't got to get ready, And we had that discussion and I said, okay, yeah, think you're rough. Ain't no telling how it could go or how it will go. You just rather, be safe than sorry, You just rather be prepared than not in case something goes wrong. So bikes are a great idea. A skateboard, some skates, whatever. Stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready, man. But yeah, that's a good look, man. Having a bike on point, having a bike on deck is the way to go. It is the way to go. James say, but I gotta get back on them two wheels and fools out there. Yeah, man. Yeah. All right, Frederick, I see you, bro. 4 times on the salute. Good to see you back up in this get down, man. Beautiful. Peace, prosperity, you and yours, all right? Real spit. Raymond Scholes said, childhood without the technology of the day. Childhood without the technology of the day, we had fun. He ain't lying. Hide and seek, doorbell ditch, football in the streets. We were creative then and knew how to problem solve. Everything you just named, done all of it, right? And had fun, man. And we do the hide and seek at night, made it a little more difficult. We have boundaries, though. You couldn't go so far, you know what I mean? But man, we had fun, man. Doorbell ditch. I used to do, again, I told you guys about how my neighbors on this one street, the grown men hated me. And that was part of, what I used to do to them, put the water hose through their door mailbox, turn on, all kind of little shit. But yeah, sometimes, being left to our own devices, we kind of destructive, being hoodlums, man, being hoodlums. Yeah, but all those things we used to do, man, and we had fun doing it, and we'd be mad when it was time to go in the house, would be mad when it was time to go in the house. Yeah, problem solving skills. That's what we had. Real spit. Yeah, I agree, James. Video games can be educational and informative, but which ones are? Most of them or most of the video games that we know, our people indulge in, very few are actually informative or educational. Most of them are shoot 'em up games or just some mind numbing stuff. You know what I mean? They're, to whose benefit other than the person who created the game that actually does nothing. You know what I mean? There are some though, these little puzzle games, they're good, but yeah, man, that real stuff, that open that brain stuff, I don't see a lot of our kids, our people into that type of stuff. And that's what on mine, I basically on my phone, I got maybe 3 games and they all like, them brain games, I solve some shit, type shit. And then I do have Call of Duty on my phone. That's it, that's it. We got the PlayStations and all that. I don't mess with it though like that. If I want to play a game, I do it on my phone right quick. Boom, I'm done. Give me 2, 3 games in, I'm done. Yeah, man. James said, man, but learning how to read, write, literature, even draw, mathematics, geographical knowledge, history, science, chemistry, sky is the limit. I was talking to my nephew and my grandson today and asking them, what did they enjoy most about school in terms of learning? And I was cool to, find out my nephew, he loves math. Oh, okay, that's good. But he hates science. And I tell him, I said, wait a minute, man, you have to understand that math is a part of science, so don't hate it just yet, find that, that math or that science that requires mathematics, you might find your niche, and you say, okay, so yeah, that's real spit, man. All these subjects you just named, a lot of our our future, man, our youth are not into. And again, y'all, this is not a blanket statement. All right. I want to clarify that. But there are some who are not interested in those things that, for us growing up, those were things we needed. You know what I mean? We needed, to know geography. You know what I mean? I don't know if y'all did the same thing back then, James and Roscoe, but back in the day, man, we used to walk 4, 5 miles, 6 miles to a park to go swimming, and you had to know where the hell you was going. What city you was entering in, what street you was on, And this was before we had skateboards and bikes. We were kids. We were kids, man, and we were out there. We walked from the set all the way to USC, man, to go swimming. We were kids, Yeah, they don't do that no more, though. Not anymore. We were hands-on, man, no lie. No lie. I remember, man, I had got in trouble. And I forgot what it was, but it was serious. It was serious. And my mother's boyfriend at the time, this brother he had his own business, construction business. And, I never, as a kid, really thought to, go to work with him and shit like that. But, I knew the tools, I used to get nails from him, them use that wrench, them hammers, you know what I mean? Boom, But I got in trouble. And so when he got home from work, he's like, all right, this was going to happen, da, da, da. Next day, I was at his place of business, construction site, building, with the big ass yard with the heavy machinery, everything. And man, next thing I know, this man is telling me how to mix concrete, how to make plaster, how to do drywall. Now, initially, I'm upset because, hey, man, I want to run the streets. I want to play. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you the truth, man. I was there, man, every bit of, man, 6 hours. 6 hours, all right? And I'm just on the low end. But by the time I left, I was cool. You know what I mean? I had, come to terms with, okay, I'm learning something, And I've never forgot it. I've never forgot it, man. So I had always appreciated that guy. Good dude, stand-up dude, stand-up dude, man. Looked out too, man. Real, so most dudes who are not, you know what I mean, man, they come to families already, with kids. Most dudes ain't worth spit, man. They ain't worth spit, man. They got a certain mindset about another man's kid, and they act just like that. You know what I mean? But this brother, man, was a solid brother, and I mean solid, through and through, stump down cat, man. Learned a lot from him. Learned a lot from him, man. Sure did. Sure did. Yep. So we pick up these skills, man. These kids ain't doing that now, They ain't doing that now. B60, man. B60 says the outside experience of old is no more. You never lied. The imagination woke up. And I'm going to tell you, that would be a problem, waking up the imagination, as long as, again, as long as they have these cell phones. As long as these cell phones are part of the daily routine, the imagination is going to continue to hibernate. It's in hibernation, man. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, B60, that the outside experience of old is a done deal. It's a done deal, man. You know what I'm saying, man? They don't run to the corner store no more to get that milk. They got them Uber and Door. Come on, real shit. Bit truth to power. They got them Uber and DoorDash delivery apps like an MF. Society is changing majorly. And again, this is a part of the program. This is what those empowered, those with all the money who who create these businesses, to have this service. This is what they decided. And it's a reason. I think for the most part, it is to make us lazy, dependent, a lot of this stuff, man, ain't just, again, it's not by accident that it's here. It wasn't just this great business idea, It was something in terms of how to control the people, how to have the people the way you want them, that brought about this idea to get them in the spot or the space, the mindset that a lot of us are in. It's not by mistake, man. Oh yeah, so it provides some, a job for a lot, and it also provides a service for the lazy, those don't want to cook, rather go get fast food, killing ourselves with this shit, you know what I mean? But yeah. You can't send, man, do y'all remember having to go to the grocery store and carry them bags home? Been there, done that. Been there, done that. Had to go to the laundromat with them loads of clothes. Knew how to wash. Knew how to wash, man, shoot, by the age of 7. Had it on lock. Knew how to wash whites and colors. Keep them separate. Knew how to use bleach. How much detergent to use. How much bleach to use. You know what I mean? Not today, man. Not today. Shoot, man. That's not all of them. Again, this is not a blanket statement, all right? But I'm quite sure, man, a lot of these kids don't know how to do that. I think that's just the reality, man. A lot of them are not aware in terms of how to be self-sufficient, how to aid, the household, how to go shop, how to cook a meal, and I shouldn't be talking about cooking because I don't do no cooking anymore. I was in prison cooking, man, for years and years. Hey, man, I can cook. I can cook. My wife said, prove it. I know she's somewhere talking about prove it. But yeah, man, I can cook, baby. I can cook now. Don't play. But yeah, man, that's what it is, man. Times have changed, man, and not necessarily for the better, you know? Not necessarily for the better. It just reminded me that whole conversation right there, that movie Wall-E, that animation movie, and how they had, the people had messed up the earth. Earth got tired of them, and shut down on their ass, right? No more water, no more greenery. So they had to build these gigantic galactic ships and send them all over the galaxy, you know what I mean? And they've been on these ships for generations. But even on the ships, they were feeding them these fast foods, these sodas and shit. And that whole population of the ship, everybody was obese. Obese, sitting in these big old lounge chairs with the screen in front of them, one of them holographic screens, not paying attention to nobody else. They're in a hover chair. The chair does everything for you. You hit a button and a little cart comes with your order. We see them downtown now. These little carts, little square box carts. They come bring your order, you know what I mean? That's, I think that's what this is coming to, man. The world, man. A lot of us are not healthy, not taking care of ourselves. And then I'm telling y'all, man, it's not by mistake. It's not by mistake. Where, I remember a time you used to have more liquor stores and churches, church buildings anywhere in the city. And I don't care what city you was in, as long as black people were in it, there was a liquor store and a church almost on every corner. That has been taken over now by fast food joints. Not just near every intersection, you know what I mean? Because that's really every intersection have them. You'd be hard pressed not to find them. You'd have to go somewhere where they're really super rich, and you're not going to find that kind of stuff. But in these cities where we are, the black and the brown, you got them everywhere. They're more numbered than liquor stores now. In churches, there are more fast food joints than there are church buildings, services, liquor stores. You know what I mean? It's crazy, man. But that is the state of affairs around here now. Yeah, man. All this stuff is by design. Yeah, you can't get these kids to do nothing. Everything is Uber. They won't walk a mile. They won't walk 1 mile. They just won't do it. They won't do it. And they'll look at you like you crazy. Yeah, bro. You and me both. Mr. Old Days. Frederick Hasby said, man, struggle breeds innovation. Yeah and no. And it's just my opinion. Yes and no. Struggle also breeds content. Some people just adapt to struggle, and it's no longer that. They just accept it, and they don't fight against it anymore. You know what I mean? Some people will become comfortable in struggle. And I mean that to say that, almost as though the fight has been depleted from them, extracted from them. So they waddle in the struggle. You might find more complaining about it than you would see, actions, to fight against it. You know what I mean? But by the same token, yeah, struggle, it does breed innovation. It does. Some people are not cool with struggle or having to struggle. So they find a way, to extract themselves from, that struggle, So I think it's a little bit of both, because the truth is there are some who will accept struggle but not in that respect to where they're fighting against it, you know. And I have to say, to a great extent, a lot of us, we're guilty of that. You know, we are guilty of that. And an example of that is, we know in terms of struggle, what our people have been through and what we continue to go through. And yet here we are, you know, as a unit, still in the struggle. There's no innovation, you know, that the race of people, this group, this unit have brought to the table to rid us of struggle. You know, I don't know, man. We still in this shit, man. We're still in this shit, man. It's become this individual thing. I can recall back then when, you know, the struggle is a struggle. There have been different eras of it, you know, times and everything. But when it was, you know, a lot, you know, that thing as we were growing up, the struggle was had and dealt with by everybody, the whole block, you know, and found a way, you know what I mean, to struggle together, you know, to get, you know what I mean? It was not something that the struggle wasn't, you know, experienced, you know, individually back then. You know, if you struggling, then, you know, we're going to help you the best we can, and we all struggle. You know, we're going to go through this stuff together, you know, boom, boom, boom. And things have begun to change. It's been a plan from day one. But yeah, struggle's real. Struggle does create, or it breeds, you know, it births innovation. You know, by the same token, struggle kills individuals, momentum, aspirations, you know, goals. You know what I mean? I think it go both ways, man. You know, man, you got a comment, you got an idea about that, drop it in here. Let's talk about it, you know. But struggle is real. It is real. Appreciate that, Frederick. Queen Nzinga say the truth of the matter is these kids can't really comprehend what our experiences were because they are in a totally different time. Everything they do requires the phone or internet. Yeah, and that's the consensus. That's the consensus. Yeah, that's the difference. You know, that's the difference. Anything that they think they want to solve they think is in their hands. They can do it from that device. Yeah, times were different. You know, back then we didn't have that. You know, that technology. You know, that would make us think that we can solve everything from this phone. But yeah, that's the difference. They go on the internet now, social media, and find whatever they want. You know, to do whatever they want to do. You know, back then, yeah, the times were different in that respect. B60 said, Daredevil stuntman, whatever you want to label it. Yeah. Quinn Nzinga goes on to say, we have to find a way to teach them what we know on their level. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. I want to say nay, but I'm gonna agree with that because yeah, I think that they're so far gone that we would have to not stoop to their level, but allow ourselves to, you know, go to their level of thinking, their way of thinking, find a way to express to them, you know, in terms that they understand, you know. So that makes sense. All right, yeah. Raymond Scholes said, man, funny you mentioned the babies and phones. I had ABC card app on my phone, and that's how she learned them. But I never knew how she would even get in my phone, though. You know what they say about babies, man. Now, when babies are born, human babies are one of a few species that when they're born, they can do very little for themselves, right? However, once that brain starts to formulate and develop, I don't think we really understand the power of that brain at that stage. It's absorbing everything through the eyes. It's listening as well, but it's getting it. It's getting it. And I think for me, this is what I think. At that stage, infants, babies, when they're born like 6 months, 9 months, a year, they're absorbing everything, man. They have the power of recall and recognition. They remember shit. They lock shit in, and this is how a baby can see you do something, and if that child finds it very interesting, they're gonna pick that up. They're gonna know how to do that around the second time around. You know what I mean? They're gonna know. So yeah, a lot of these kids, man, they watch how their parents go in there and open that phone through that code or whatever them digits is, or that pattern is, that pin. They getting right up in that thing, man. That's how they pulling that shit off, man. Equanimity. All right, that's the word of the day. Raymond's Code and drop that one. Equanimity. I hope I said that right. I know I can read. Equanimity. Let's see. Okay. Good word also, bro. It's a state of psychological stability, calm, and even-mindedness, particularly under stress or doing challenging situations. There you go. Appreciate that. They kill me with that when they want to always try to give you a word where it comes from. It's always Latin or Greek. Fuck out of here, man. Excuse me. Raymond also says, my son is 10 and I had to lace him on this war, the news, and Trump. So that's a task for me to work with. It seems he likes politics, or he liked politics. I'm pretty impressed by his inquiries, as you should be, and I try to, like you, I don't, I'm not necessarily trying to force nothing on them, when they're around me, but I'll say some stuff and hopefully it piques their interest, you know what I mean? And I'll, do certain things around them, hopefully to, again, draw them in, to have these discussions, give them understanding. But again, we're dealing in a time with a time where, again, man, they are so distracted, and they distract easily, easily distracted. I mean, seriously, What you talking about, Frederick? No Johnny come across. All right, Sam Lemons, I see you, bro. Good to see you amongst us. Peace and prosperity, you and yours. All right. Yep. Salute right back to you, bro. Black Fist. Antonio, there you go. All right. There's the man of the hour, man. Mr. Al Thomas. Salutations right back to you, bro. To you and the young king. He said, salutations, you, Bub, Queen Nzinga, and the entire RGC. I hope everyone had a productive day. B1 equals black first. No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Did I just see Rakufu ain't made it yet? So you ain't got to drop a word for the day. Raymond Cole already did that. It's a nice one too. It's a nice one. Yeah. Al says, yes, man. It's good to be seen. And yes, all is well, sis. There you go. I see you. There you go. Ain't that something? Yeah, man. Shoot. And y'all gotta forgive me, man. I am actually tired. I'm tired, but that's okay. I'll be all right. And putting in them hours, man. Putting in them hours, man. Then again, I got my grandson and my nephew. Hey, yeah, man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, man. I'll tell you what. Man. I was thinking, on the way to the studio, hit downtown, right? And there was a sister standing at the light, and you could tell, it could be seen readily. She was homeless, but she still had her purse. You know what I mean? I can't tell you what type of dress it was or whatever. You know what I mean? It wasn't tattered or nothing like that. It wasn't dirty even, and she had her blanket around her. And she just looking around. I'm telling you, it was like, damn, man. Damn. I don't know. Just felt some kind of way, man. Like, damn. All the way there to the studio, getting past all these people, man. You see these people are people. Just like, damn, man. Gave up. The struggle, I don't know, seemed to have got the best of them. Got the best of them. And felt some kind of way, man. I ain't gonna lie. Felt some kind of way, man. Yeah, we're going through it, y'all. We're going through it. Queen and Zinga say, man, love the word of the day. Here is a usage. Despite the chaotic atmosphere of the emergency room, the head surgeon maintained her equanimity, yeah, calmly directing her team through the crisis. All right, that's something new. Not just the vocabulary building, bringing a new word every day, but hey, how to use it. Thank you, Queen and Zinga. That's nice. Equanimity. All right. Yeah, man. I can't wait, bro. I can't wait. I'm in this fight. Man, my soul is burning like, hey, man, got to do something. I know I'm going to make a couple of calls too tonight. I'm ready to get out there, man. See what I can bring to the table, see how I can help. Shit. I really got my mind locked in on that, man. Really got my mind locked in on that. Well, I just had a thought. I haven't seen C1 in a week. Send her a quick. All right. Yeah. Hold on, everybody. Do anybody remember C1's new handle? C1's a goalie or something like that. Hey, Al, man. Al says, man, when I see my people out there like that, especially black women, it definitely bothers me. And I wonder what led to their current situation. Yeah, what was that circumstance, man? Damn. And again, when we see our people out there, there's a certain caliber of homelessness that, you can always, there's some who have been out there for like forever, and some who are just now getting there. You can see the difference, and she had um that look that she hadn't been there forever, and she didn't get there today either. You know what I mean? But I'm telling you, it was more not how she was dressed or not anything, but more about her look. It was almost like a blank stare, man. Just like, and I'm checking out everything. She, like I said, she still had her purse. And I said to myself, man, that's probably, her only possession, and everything, that's worth anything in her life is probably in that purse, It tripped me out, man. I was like, what the hell, What the hell, man? This is what we see going on, man. And you got this idiot, giving Israel billions of dollars for wars, man. And you got this problem, this health crisis, man. This homeless issue, in this country. You could give a flying flick about it, man. What demographic has the largest homeless population? Damn.
Black Americans experience homelessness at the highest rate, making up over 31% of the unhoused population.
I just asked it, what demographic had the highest homeless population? Guess who came up? Black Americans constitute the largest demographic group experiencing homelessness in the United States by rate, making over 31% of the unhoused population, while being only 13.7% of the general population. Wow. It goes on to say, while white people represent the highest raw number, Black Americans have the highest rate of homelessness. Wow. And mostly are Black men. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I take that back. Yeah, that is. Yeah. Yeah. Not good, y'all. Not good. Yeah. Hey, yeah, I know it is out. It's C1. Might have her in my history because I did contact her a couple of weeks ago. C1, it ain't C1 dead anymore. I'm gonna try that anyway. Let's see how you doing. Zagozi. Yeah, I think that's what it was. Zagozi. Let me try that. Yeah, try that. Yeah, anyway, man. Yeah, this is a problem though, man. This homelessness stuff. That's just one aspect of what we read or witnessing out there. And a lot of our brothers and sisters who are homeless got serious mental health issues, you know. When I drive down there, I got to be mindful. Okay, I'm not even going to do 25 miles an hour, you know, because I don't want to hit none of them, you know. So I'm basically just, cruising. I'm trying, you know, I'm trying to make sure I don't hit nobody, you know, because they'll pop out and, you know, they don't give a dang about traffic. I'm like, oh, shit, man, this shit's scary. You know, it kind of pisses you off, but at the same time, you got to recognize, like, hey, man, a lot of these people got issues, man. Don't give a damn. Don't give a damn. I'm going through there this morning. They're burning trash in the trash cans. You know, I imagine to stay warm, you know. And it's like, wow, man. Crazy. Ain't nobody doing shit about it. Yeah, I saw that Raymond Skull. Raymond Skull said, did y'all hear how Nick Cannon is being criticized for saying the Democrat Party was started by the KKK? Well, I caught that whole thing today. Not just Nick Cannon, you know, and he got, you know, a lot of conservative ways. I don't knock him for it, but you know, he got a lot of conservative ways. But Chili of TLC fame, you know, was doing a lot of stuff she shouldn't have been doing, and it's backfiring. In fact, it's backfiring on both of them. Nick Cannon, for the statement he made about the KKK being the Democrats, you know, not realizing why, you know, blacks end up being with the Democrat Party. And they say most of that shift came in the late 50s, early 60s with Dr. Martin Luther King shifting over to the Democrats and taking most blacks with him from the Republican Party because he had got arrested. And Coretta Scott King, Miss King, called what's the dude's name? Richard Nixon, to, you know, see if he would get him out of jail, get King out of jail. And he basically ignored her, didn't help, you know. So she made another call to somebody who called John F. Kennedy. He made 2 calls, as the story goes. His first call was to Coretta Scott King and say, hey, I'm going to do everything I can, you know, to help you out. His next call was to whoever it was and got King out of jail. And from that moment on, King and others went over to the Democratic Party, left the Republican Party as a result of that. You know, at least that's the story, you know. With Chili, so Chili's being dragged for a few reasons, actually. She reposted some shit calling Michelle Obama a man. And then her excuse was, oh, no, you know how you go through the phone and your finger accidentally hit the repost And I would never do nothing like that. I would never do nothing like that. She had forgotten that a lot of what she had put on social media was saved by a lot of people. They kept it. Most of the people she looked at on social media are white supremacists. Her guy is a white guy, and he supports white, well, I ain't gonna say white supremacists, but he is supposedly supportive of the MAGA movement. So it's being said that maybe she's trying to identify with her guy by doing what they do, what they do. And she's trying to find a way again to get out of this ruckus, because they're about to go on this tour. And so everybody are canceling their tickets to the tour. So T-Bob's got to suffer as a result of whatever Chili got going on or is going through. Chili's like a lot of them, their names slip my mind. See, they figure Stacey Dash, what's the blonde head sister got the tattoo on her forehead? Amber Rose, a lot of them. Candace Owens, she's trying to, find a way out, but no one's going to let her out that easily. At least that's what it seems. D.L. Hughley went in on her and then posted some shit she had. I guess she forgot she posted. That's very incriminating. Nick Cannon, he said, hey, man, he agreed with everything Amber Rose said about Republicans, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, just, I don't know, the way he was talking, I just said, okay, he was just ignorant. He didn't have the facts, you know what I mean? And it was like, okay, he was doing this interview with Amber Rose in her car, and I'm thinking maybe he's just going along so that the interview could go along, you know what I mean? But somebody in the comments was saying, hey, Nick Cannon's problem is that he don't know when to pull out. It was fresh. It's a good one. That was a good one. And they went on to criticize that any brother who would have all these kids with all these different women, but would support a pedophile, it could be something up with him. That was the comment, But yeah, I caught that Nick Cannon thing. Let's read on that. What we got, man? Raymond Cole started it. He said, man, did you hear them messing with Nick Cannon? Because he said the KKK created the Democratic Party. Al says, man, when I see my people out there like that, especially black women, it definitely bothers me, and I wonder what led to their current situation. Okay, we read that. Al said, man, I envision my mother, my grandmother, my aunts. It takes a minute for that image to dissolve in my mind. I wish I had the means to change their circumstances. And then that was the thing, Al. This, when I was going through downtown, I mean, shit, I wanted so bad, to help, what I mean? I didn't have the resources, to put her in, hey, not just her, but others. And hey, man, what will it take, if you get your fight back, get back into this struggle, and make some good of it. So I felt, honestly, I felt useless, that's how I felt driving away, and like you, it made me think about my family, all the women in my family, and what they must go through or what they've been through, Yeah, it's some cold stuff, man. It's some cold stuff, man. Roscoe say Nick Cannon's comment has some validity to it at Roscoe, though not 100% accurate. So what do you mean? What part of Nick Cannon's comment had more validity to it to you, Al? Just for, conversation purposes. Oh, there you go. Democrats were definitely opposed to freeing enslaved Africans, no doubt. And again, though, I think we get lost in that debate of who did what and why they did it. Fact of the matter is, and Lincoln said it himself, he could give a damn about us. If he didn't have to, he would not have. You know what I mean? So it wasn't done for the sake of humanity, or it wasn't done because it was the right thing to do. Looked at, like, okay, these are human beings. Why is such a thing taking place, in this country? It wasn't done because of that. He said, period, point blank, it was done to save the nation. And that means, to save what they wrought, what they call themselves building or established in, North America, the United States government. He said, if not for that, we still be slaves, So I'm saying that to say it doesn't matter. Either one of them have been no good to us. I mean, for real. We were talking about this the other night in terms of these political affiliations, just being in step with this country, or being, in terms of how they get out. There's no good in it for us. And I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, whatever, communist, socialist, there's no good in it for us, period. It's like integration. It's no good for us, period. Period. I wonder. I'm wondering. I'm gonna have to, look into this, man. I've thought back then, did any Republicans own slaves? And for just something telling me, yeah, they did. I want to be sure though. Or Democrats, or both, I think, had slaves. The Democrats were the ones who were represented by white supremacists, and the Republicans were the ones supposedly that, just had a different political view about shit. But did any of them own slaves? I wonder about that. Okay. Al says Democrats were definitely opposed to freeing enslaved Africans. Raymond Skoll said, man, Ed Al Thomas, I agree. During the Depression of the 1930s, and LBJ came with the New Deal. In short, blacks switched to Democrats, and a lot of racist Democrats went Republican. Yeah, LBJ was a cold one. Stumped down racists. It's funny how, well, they got recordings of him in the Oval Office talking about us like we're animals. Talking about King, all of them like animals, man. And this was a Democrat professing to, support blacks. Hated the hell out of us. Really just needed us for the war in Vietnam. That he wanted to continue, that he continued years after it didn't have to. You know what I mean? He just kept it going. Sending more black men, boys, to fight a war that had nothing to do with us, man. Yeah, thanks for that, Al. I had a suspicion of such, that both parties owned slaves, no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. I just wasn't sure, so I appreciate that, bro. Yeah, man. I don't know, man. I'm just, all of them. All of them. I'm hard pressed to find one that wasn't racist. That's all the way from the first one to the 47th. All right. I'm hard pressed to find one that wasn't racist. Don't think I can. Well, They say Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, wasn't not neutral, but didn't use or play the race game or the white supremacist game. That's what they say. They also say that him being assassinated the way he did, it had nothing to do with the mob in Cuba and all that shit. They were saying them ish people did it because how he was pushing in terms of getting us or blacks, whatever rights he thought thought were needed or we didn't have that we should have had. I don't know. But yeah, he probably was the only one. And most of them have always have had something negative to say about us. And that I would even include what's the boy just passed, Jimmy Carter. I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't think that he didn't have anything negative to say. I would think that he did as well. He's a Georgia boy. He was, raised in Georgia. If I remember correctly, his brother would, had a lot of racial shit to say back in the 80s. Billy Bob, I think, he started a beer line, a brand, Billy Bob beer or something. But anyway, he put his foot in his mouth, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I don't know, man. Democrat or Republican, I don't think either is any good for us, never have been and will not be, we're just, shit. At this stage, we're not even votes. Well, yeah, the vote thing kind of is, wishy-washy, but they don't even, court our votes like they used to. They got all these other people here, to bring them over, let them come in from all over the world. And they come in and they give them trinkets, they give them money, they give them jobs, they give them cars and homes. So, they essentially, man, replenish their voting ranks with people other than us, So I don't know, man. I don't think, again, I just don't think either party serves us. That's just what I think. Al, I agree. 1,000%. Al says you won't find one. Don't press yourself. They say that Carter wasn't either, but I beg to differ. I'm right along with you on that one, brother. Their public-facing image may have appeared to not be racist, but personally, they were good old boys. No doubt about it, bro. Out of Georgia, man. You can't, you ain't gonna tell me that, man. I wouldn't trust it. I'm pretty sure, right along with Billy Bob, he was a white supremacist. Raised in it. Pretty sure of it. Yeah, man, this whole thing is just a mess. It's a mess. Have you ever thought as to why we as a people never established a political party, that would carry our concerns, our issues, a political party that had politicians in it who represented us, who looked like us, who could relate to us, our own party. It is not, illegal. It's something that could be done. I'm wondering why that never occurred. Why hasn't that occurred? But anyway, you were saying, let me finish this sentence. Their public-facing image may have appeared to be not racist, but personally, they were good old boys, toeing the line back then, just like now. The vast majority of them, politicians, people, will say any damn thing to gain office. And you're right. You got some that out of the South, good old boys, and they'll say some racist shit to other racist people to get them votes. They don't even care no more. They speak out, man, about it, man. They carry on, man. They don't care, man. But them same ones that even say some shit to black folk just to get their vote. You know, all the while they can give a damn about us. All the while they can give a damn about us, man. Again, Democrat and Republican. Makes no difference. Yeah, I don't know why our people never established a political party that reflected us, you know? I don't know why, man. Makes you wonder. Well, it makes me wonder. Not one political party. And so all our people who go up into that, you know, to the halls of power, they go in there representing everything and everybody but us. That's some crazy stuff to me. That's some crazy stuff, man. And then we want to know why, you know, we have the problems we have. We have no real representation, man. That's why. That's part of it anyway. No one is representing us representing us or for us with our own political party, with our own political agenda. No one. Al says, man, that party wouldn't be allowed to take root. True. Both Democrats and Republicans will fight hand in hand to prevent or destroy any chance of us having a party. And it brings to mind, is there any truth? Was there any truth in terms of what was said about P. Diddy? Why all of a sudden his house of cards fell on top of him? Was it because he said he wanted to start a black political party? You know? Is there any validity in that? I wonder. I wonder. Sam Evans said, man, the relationship between black people and politicians is similar to Count Dracula and his victims. Suck the blood right out of us, right? And a lot of times we just go and present the neck for them like, here, go on. Is it going to hurt? You know? So, man, yeah, that's a cold relationship, ain't it? We feeding the beast, y'all. We are feeding the beast. Al says, man, they may have attempted to, but more than likely it was squashed before it really began. They'll unalive people for the mere mention of that. Yeah. And so then, is it out of fear one has not been established? You know, and then Diddy was made an example of, you know, if that was the case, you know, in terms of him, you know, being caught up in, you know, all, you know, the stuff that went down, you know, human trafficking, whatever. I don't know, you know, Diddy, I do recall him mentioning he wanted to start a black political party. You know, I'm laughing because I can imagine all the brothers and sisters who had money that he went to and mentioned this, how they must have been so scared. Oh, Buckeyes and shit. Oh, you gonna get us some trouble. But them house people, you say, you can go around there starting problems. Yeah, man. I can imagine somebody went told on him. Did you know Diddy once started a black political party? Somebody went told on Diddy, man. I shouldn't be laughing, man, but black people. in this day and age, telling other people, why you gonna start problems? Ain't you living good? What you worried about it for? Damn. Raymond Cole said, hey man, gotta laugh, keep from crying, y'all. Raymond Cole said, man, we need politicians who push our agenda. These token Negroes in politics now are only concerned with the American agenda as they are financially pacified. So our issues aren't their issues. I'll say, Master gonna get us. Master gonna get us. Master gonna get us. Hey, hey, Raymond Cole, you know what? That is true. I think even more to the point, so-called black politicians are in the pockets of the AIPAC, man. You know, that lobby, that #1 lobby in DC, you know. Again, it's all in the news, man. They all have been discovered. Hakeem Jeffries, for one, man, you'd think this brother was about the business. Come to find out, he's been doing everything they've been telling him to do because he's been getting this money. You know, same thing with Jasmine Crockett. She made the statement, I've never taken any money from the AIPAC. Right? Thinking she, you know, she's being slick. So then the question was posed to her, have you taken PAC money? PAC. Yes. You know, and you know, the AIPAC pretty much run the regular PAC, you know, donors, you know what I mean? So I don't know why she thought she was being slick, but most of our brothers and sisters up in Congress, you know, in DC, man, are just basically selling us out, man. Basically selling us out. We need a whole lot of new, young, conscious people, you know, and if there are any older, you know, blacks in Congress who are conscious and for real, you know. And again, the way to tell is you look at their voting record. Just go check it out. You'll know. You know, if they exist and they can stay too. But I think two things. We find a way to start or establish our own political party within the government, or we get rid of those, you know, them raccoons, you know, the coconuts or whatever. Get them out of, you know, get them out of Congress, man. Get them out of politics, man, and put our people in there, man, who have the mindset, who are conscious, who are about B1, you know, straight up. Get them in there, man. Get these other people out, man. You know, we got these people up in there, man. They are not doing us any justice. They're not helping us whatsoever, man. We got people dying in the streets, man. People with mental health issues, man. People who are homeless. People who are addicted to drugs, man. People who, you know, every day, man, going through these struggles, man. And nobody is there to help or doing anything, you know, to help or assist, you know, those of us who need the assistance the most, you know. Master gonna get us. Master gonna get us. Yeah, man. Oh, Al says that, man, I got good white peoples. Okay. I got good white peoples. You gonna get us in troubles. Hey, you gotta know that, man, right? Hey, man, just as sure as I'm breathing, we got people like that, man, today. We'll snitch our people out. Could be the bomber's plan or course of action to get us out of this, you know, we've been in for so long. You tell it to the wrong person, hey, man, that's a wrap. That's a wrap, you know? And then, as far as we know, whatever narrative is placed upon them or they're labeled with, we don't know if that's true or if that's been fabricated. This stuff is some crazy stuff, man. I got good white people. You're gonna get us in trouble. Ain't you living good? What you worried about? That's them, man, all day, every day, man. All right, Poke, I see you, bro. Salute right back to you, man. 3 of them. All right. How was your day? So what have you accomplished today, my brother? First off, peace and prosperity to you and the family, man. Good to see you amongst us, all right? How's that job treating you? How you treating the job? Pope says, man, salute to the UTG and the RGC, getting my business on at work, but I'm just tapping in. I'm a level y'all with some positivity. If you believe you can, then you halfway there. All right. Black love always, gotta go. Hey man, peace, prosperity, bro. Appreciate that, man. Yep. Appreciate you in this. Get down with us. Raymond Coast. Hey, I can't help it. I'm still laughing because Al says, I think that's funny. You gonna get us in trouble. Raymond Coast said, man, well, remember, we understand that they have to get with their program in order to hold on to their money and lifestyle. And I'll add to that, if it's okay, in order to keep that seat up in DC, they better go along with the program. And maybe even that house and that bank account. They better go along with the program, man. Otherwise, they be right back amongst us. And I'm telling you, man, a lot of them don't want that. They can't stand being around us, man. They done found refinery. They done found what they call it, goddamn refinement. It's in that vein. They done found culture. They done found some real culture. Yeah. Yeah, this is crazy. Quinn and Zinga say, it always seems to start with good intentions, then it goes bad as soon as they get a little power, as soon as they get a little power or acceptance from these pink people. They done found sunshine. Yeah, they black buses forgetting they black though. They forget. And for a lot of them, I think, hey, give me the money, I'll forget. No problem. I can live with it. That seems to be the mindset, man. I just thought about Drewski. I don't know why I could. So I don't know if everybody saw this. He did the parody on the girl Kirk. I forget her first name. I'm really not a fan. I think she's an airhead. I listen to nothing she do. But anyway, he did a spoof of her, right? And so now she's trying to sue him. So he went on and dropped, some more content and just laid it on the line. I thought that was pretty powerful. I can't remember it verbatim and all that, but he basically went in and said, "Oh, you want to try to sue me for free speech? You want to sue me for, just exercising my free speech, but you'll forgive the man that's supposed to kill your husband. Ain't that something?" I thought that was deep, man. I thought that was deep. I can't see that if she is attempting to sue. I forget the lady name. I just know her last name is Kirk. But anyway, if she does attempt to sue him, I can't see that even getting any traction whatsoever. At all. At all, Crazy. Show him the gun line, boss. Don't you get out of line. Don't you cross this line. Show them the gun line, boss. Yeah, we gotta laugh, man, and avoid from crying, y'all. That's how bad this stuff is, man. This stuff is bad. You people, man. And speaking of politics, right quick, y'all see Trump trying to do a U-turn. Again, I make no apologies for this statement. I mean, I know what I'm saying, and I know the consequences of what could possibly take place with a lot of people who probably won't deserve or don't deserve, to leave this earth. But I was hoping them clear people was that stupid or stupid enough to want to go over there, man, and touch on the ground, touch the soil, because, in my mind, I just want to see them get the issue. That's how I was looking at it, modern day Vietnam, get down, you know what I mean? Go on, get your issue, Billy Badass. That's what I was hoping for, and in a way it would help to discredit not only the administration, but really the whole political apparatus, man, the whole government. And I don't mean just the Trump government, but Democrats too. I'd like to see them exposed. It kills me, man, to listen to that BS, that they spew, man. You got the nerve to call Iran a terrorist country, a murderous and terrorist country. Come on, man, for real. The two most murderous and terrorist countries on the face of the earth got the nerve to call somebody else a terrorist. That's crazy. That is crazy. I'm saying. All right, Lisa Moore, Black first. Love you, sister. Peace and prosperity. All right. Keep that shine. Keep that fire. All right, y'all. I am tired. I BS you not. I'm exhausted. I actually fell asleep in the studio today. I think it was maybe 5 minutes. I don't know, man. In front of my laptop, man. I don't know how I did it, but I did. Trying to get this stuff out, man. But I don't know, man. I know it's every day that I just think about us, I see what's happening in the world, but I think about us in regards to everything that's going on, man. I'm kind of fearful for our people. I just am, Just fearful for our people, man. I often, imagine having hundreds of billions of dollars and influencing, the world differently, you know what I mean? Spending that money on some shit that really makes sense, getting rid of people that ought not be, in the public view, the words, the narratives, the propaganda, just doing away with all that BS, man. Oh no, so all right, Lisa Moore, much love right back to you. Again, peace and prosperity to you and your family, sister. Keep that fire. Light that fire in them babies, too. Yeah, we all want to do better. We want to see our people do better, do more. And that's just me, man. That's, from me to you. All right. That being said, man, love yourself, man. Take care of yourself. Love others and take care of those who need it most. All right. So keep that in perspective, y'all. Let's put an atmosphere that we meet here again on the morrow. All right. Until then, let's look forward and towards a grand rising. Peace and prosperity, everybody. You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. All right, take care of yourself. Power is in the people. One love, everybody.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the borough to the sphere, where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. That's in the sergeant. This is once a less than Actors, actors, and reciters. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, watch the applause for polls. Need your data, talks and constantly problem when the wet just wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times. Plead the markets off the main. Make it on the fans. Turn and neck and love the durn. Suffer like a kisher. You went wrong to preaching up on side as each alone. Bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vets. Someone the very inch on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the bonafide. You wait talking for the harbor mate to keep him through the club and saw the bloods to the Sanger land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break it, generous, more than he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.